The young guys for the Orlando Magic are absolutely killing it through the first two games of Summer League, but perhaps the biggest surprise and best player for Orlando has been number 18th pick Tristan da Silva. Today we're going to recap the first couple games of Summer League, talk about the roster, and really assess whether or not da Silva is going to have an important role come the regular season. But first, guys, if you're watching this video, you're most likely not subscribed. 96.5% of you who view our videos over this past month aren't subscribed. So join the 3.5% that is. It's the easiest and most effective way to show support to the channel here over at Magic Digest. Guys, we're trying to pump out as many videos as possible about Orlando Magic basketball for you guys as the Summer League comes on, as the training camp rolls around the corner, as the regular season is upon us. Trying to give you everything Orlando Magic basketball. So if you support and subscribe to the channel, we're going to be able to continue to do that to our best ability. Now, getting into Tristan da Silva, if you've been watching, if you've been paying attention, the Magic are playing extremely well over the last half week or so in the Summer League. This team looks well-rounded, team looks really good, and Tristan da Silva has been probably the best player, I would say, among the roster that is going to translate from the Summer League to the regular season team. So let me tell you why. Da Silva had a 13-point outing to start against the Cavs. Now this was just a blowout game, as it wasn't competitive at all. He shot 5 on threes, totaled 5 boards, had 4 assists. That was very impressive. But then he comes right around and he puts up an even better performance in a comeback win against the Pelicans. He had 23 points, 8 of 13 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, 4 of 4 from the line. He had 4 boards, 2 assists, and 2 steals. That came in 26 minutes, and obviously, like I said, it was a comeback win against the Pelicans. It was a competitive game. Now, I'm not trying to say that Summer League is going to be where winners are defined and take us to the chip. We can push our ticket to the Eastern Conference Finals or anything like that. But when you have a competitive game in the Summer League, you don't really get that a lot, and so it's nice to be able to assess players in a situation of more dire stress. That's more important, and you got that clutch time. So right now, Tristan da Silva is shooting 58% from the field and almost 55% from 3. He's a ready-made product from Colorado, played 4 years of college ball. He's 23 years old, I believe, or will be 23 if he is not already by the start of the season. So you're kind of expecting him to be that guy who can kind of slot in and play for you immediately, slot in by Paolo, slot in by Franz, and be that smart, intelligent basketball player that is going to add some to your team. Now we're going to talk about what exactly can he be. Now, we've said, look, we want him to slot in and we want him to play some minutes, and we've seen him have a good regular season. Now, what is the feeling around the organization about that? Is that something that's possible? Well, Lionel Chambers, doing a really great job of coaching this Orlando Magic Summer League team, said defensively and offensively, he was really good. He's patient. He understands the timing and the momentum of the game. He's unselfish, but he can also get it himself. You can put him in any position on the court, and he will find success. That was obviously his comments after Tristan da Silva's first game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I think that that's pretty amazing, pretty great praise from a guy who's on the Orlando Magic coaching staff, and I would say a very good sign that he's going to get some more minutes in the NBA whenever that regular season time comes right around. As long as he has a good training camp, I think you can kind of see him really being able to produce for the Magic. Now, if we look at some of the other quotes of just a general about some of his teammates, Da Silva said this to the Orlando Sentinel reporter Jason Beede. He said it was a good start. Obviously, there's always room for improvement. It was a good starting point, especially defensively. I feel like I've done a couple really good things, and then offensively, just keeping the flow going, getting some easy looks. Shout out to the team for finding me and converting when I give them the ball. Obviously, got a good head on his shoulders and is kind of looking for any momentum to be built. And I think he's starting humble. He's not not trying to be too hard on himself, but I think he understands that he's playing well right now and is just trying to play within the offense and isn't going to try to do too much. I think that's a good sign. Now, one of the other things I wanted to point out is, we'll talk about Xavier Moon later on, but Tristan da Silva also said on what he was watching from the veteran, the guy who's been for the Clippers for 3 years, he said, of Xavier Moon. That just veteran leadership right there. That's especially important at the one spot. He got that through and through. So big shout out to him for getting everybody right and kind of settling the tone. It kind of shows you how deep this team runs and how well we're connected throughout the starting five and bench. Now this just sounds. I put together some different quotes here because it just sounds like he's got a deeper understanding of the game right now than you would usually expect from a rookie. From a guy who's 19 years old. I don't know if they're exactly getting this much praise, playing this well, or talking like this about their teammates and how they're just trying to soak up all the knowledge. I think this is really good, shows a level of maturity that's really, really positive for the Orlando Magic. And I think when you're taking a guy at number 18 and you're in the Orlando Magic's position where they're trying to vault themselves in that win now type of franchise, taking a guy like Tristan da Silva looks like it was a home run. You can't really ask for too much better. And you kind of see why the front office said, look, maybe we're not going to get Paul George. Maybe we won't get Klay Thompson, but we'll get Tristan da Silva, who's a guy who can step in right now. His IQ's off the charts, and I think for the most part, you can't really question the front office with this pick so far. The only better case scenario would have been if he had 250 balls in the first couple of games. And then, I guess that would have been better than what he's doing right now. But this is the most realistic, best case scenario, and I think he is absolutely killing it in Summer League. Now, I would expect him to eventually sit out some of these games as the Summer League progresses on, but I think for the most part he'll play the next game, and you can't really ask too much more of him. Now, wanted to also get into some of the other players in Summer League. We'll probably have to start with Anthony Black. Anthony Black, Jett Howard, Jay Huff, and Xavier Moon have all played really well. Those are kind of the main four guys along with Silva, but we'll start with Anthony Black. Look, this is a guy who didn't get a ton of minutes in the regular season last year, didn't really get a ton of opportunity. He had a bit of a logjam at the guard position. We're going to see Markelle Fultz go. So what do we have in Black? Well, we're looking at a guy who had 20 in the very first game. He was 6 of 9 from the field, and he had 4 steals. His plus-minus rating was like 36. It was something ridiculous, and it was just about the scoring difference for the game. So he played really well. Now, in Game 2, not so much. He struggled. He had 5 points, more fouls, and just often looked lazy. Kind of was putting himself in bad positions defensively, and you would have liked to see a lot better of a performance from Anthony Black because he's usually a more polished individual. So you're looking at the offensive game and you're saying, like, oh, I would like to see more from him in that area. Obviously, he averaged less than 5 points per game last year. You said, no, I want to see more from him, more volume shooting, see him be aggressive. But it was kind of a little bit of the opposite. It was just an overall bad performance in that second game. But he still, when you needed him, he got a clutch, tough bucket down the stretch against the Pelicans. And like I said, not going to take too much stock in a summer league. But at the end of the day, if you're in a close game, in a tough scenario, and you kind of come through, I think that is still just basketball, and you have to take that and say, hey, that's impressive. You did your job. Not going to go make the front page news, but I think that kind of also needs to be in perspective when talking about his game too. So really love to see where he can bounce back. Or how he can bounce back, in the next game that's going to be next Wednesday. Now, we're also going to have to talk about Jett Howard. This is a guy that a lot of people just immediately said is going to be a bust. They said, look, this lottery pick didn't play very much at all last season, and that's a bad sign. He was in the G League the whole time. It looks like he's vastly improved and will also get minutes to potentially help our offense problem that plagued us in the series against the Cleveland Cavaliers. He had 22 points, 8 of 15 from the field in that first game, made 5 of 10 3-point attempts. He just absolutely balled out offensively. He also had 4 assists, so he was kind of dishing the rock, being involved in the offense, wasn't just looking for that shot. Did have some shots in that second game where you would have liked him to kind of just rein it back a little bit, but it's Summer League, so he's going to just let it fly. And I think sometimes whenever you're looking at Summer League stats, as far as the box score is concerned, you're going to have to say, look, if he shot 7 for 17, he's probably, that's going to be like, that's like more closer to like a 50% shooting performance than closer to 40, because he's not going to take all those shots in the game. Might, take 1 or 2 off of his makes, but for the most part, he's not going to take that many. So I think as long as he can just play within his game, I think he's going to get some real minutes on this Magic team next year, and I think he's going to really get an opportunity. This does kind of make you question, Gary Harris is on the roster, so where does he fit in if all three of these guys are going to be slotted into the rotation? Well, I think Gary Harris was more of an insurance play, so that's going to be okay. Now, moving to Jay Huff and Xavier Moon. Both have been bright offensive spots, but defensively probably want a little bit more from both of those guys. I don't think that that either of them are going to get anything above a two-way contract. Obviously, Jay Huff was two-way with the Denver Nuggets, and Xavier Moon was two-way with the Clippers. But for the most part, I think both those guys have looked like they can stick with the Orlando Magic, and the Orlando Magic probably want them back unless they can get a full-time contract somewhere else. But I don't see Huff getting slotted into the rotation as far as the bigs are concerned right now, just because it's a logjam, and even if they trade Wendell Carter Jr., I don't see that. But he's definitely somebody that I would love to see them just continue to invest their time in, because he's been playing really, really well. Now, what to look forward next, I would expect everybody, and I've mentioned this a little bit, I would expect all of the big three, and including Huff and Moon, to play in the next game Wednesday night, but the Magic do have a back-to-back, and I don't think that they'll determine that that's worth it. So I think you'll see a lot of those guys sit out in that final game, or potentially they could stagger it. But I would say for the most part, they probably want to throw Anthony Black out there, see how he can respond to having a bad game on Wednesday night. He's got a little bit of a rest, a couple days off before he has to do that. And then I think they'll trot out Da Silva in one of the last two games as well. And Jett Howard too. They're not solidified just yet after two games, but I think they'll throw them out there, and we'll see exactly where they are. I'd love to hear from everybody in the comments. Do you think that the Orlando Magic have made the correct move? Are you really trusting now the front office? Because it looks like Tristan da Silva and Jett Howard are going to be some shooters out on the wings in the coming offseason. I'm also very curious of what you guys think about. I'm going to make this proclamation. I think Tristan da Silva is the best of the three so far, and I think he might end up getting the most minutes. So are you trusting the front office, and do you think Tristan da Silva is better right now as it currently stands than Jett Howard and Anthony Black? Not that crazy of a take. He spent plenty of years in college, so ready-made guy. But that's all the time I have for today, recapping the first couple games of the Orlando Magic Summer League and propping up Tristan da Silva as the new savior of, or the third best guy for the Orlando Magic coming out of this Summer League team. But that's all the time I have for today. See you next time.